I don't even see any on mine, to be honest with you. But I'm also using a Winnie the Pooh jam jar. So.
That might be impacting your...
I don't know. That might help.
Winnie is taking...
So what you're saying is you're going to get lots of notes of honey.
Yeah.
A joke. Well done, John.
You're listening to Those Dram Yinzers with your hosts, John and Zach.
Hey everyone, I'm John, and welcome to Those Dram Yinzers, where we drink bourbon and talk about it. No, you don't have to adjust your phone or any audio settings. Zach is not with us today. He had some family stuff that he was attending, so again, family comes first with the show, so we miss him, but we'll see him on the next show. Today, whenever you're listening, we are doing another round of the Pittsburgh Community Whiskey Table, virtual edition. And we have 3 new guests with us and some other fun guests. But I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Aaron to get this underway.
That would require me unmuting myself. So this evening, our community whiskey... our Pittsburgh Whiskey Table, we are live on Facebook at the moment as well, within Pittsburgh Whiskey Friends. We have, we have 4 guests. We have Rocco. Say hi, Rocco.
What's up, everyone? How are you?
We have Adam.
Oh.
Do your dancing intro. You know, we all have to say a few words. Say hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
And then we have Ray Winstead, who's on mute.
Ray, you're muted.
So sorry. Hey, Ray, long-term whiskey drinker. Used to be the cheap stuff, now it's the good stuff.
Awesome. And our special guest is Umberto Dorta, live from somewhere in the Meadville area.
It looks like he's
somewhere from deepest,
Yeah,
darkest
they're muted.
Meadville.
So, tonight's event, we have, last time we did this, we had 3 blind samples. Tonight, we have added an extra sample. We have 4. No, not going to give any details, not if there's a theme or anything else. You'll all figure it out as we go along. Again, the goal here is we will pour a little bit of each sample. So the samples are A, B, C, and D. We will pour a little bit of A. We'll taste, write down some thoughts, some notes. We will then do a splash of water in it, see if anything new pops up, or get some feelings, thoughts around it with a little bit of water. Then we will move on to the next sample. Feel free in your notebook to write down any guesses you might have on that sample. We can, if you'd like to share at the end of that sample what your guess is, I'll prompt you for that. And then we'll move on to the next one. Once we get through them all, we will reveal what they each are, and then we'll go back to each one, take some additional thoughts, and just overall feelings around the samples, what was favorites, what was least favorite, and just the overall, the event, and take feedback and whatever else we can do. And of course, there'll be chit chat and shenanigans along the way, as there always is.
And many tangents, probably.
Many tangents.
Do we want to get a quick intro of our guests? I know we said hello.
We can, yeah. I mean, if people want to give some background, what their background is, or yeah. So we'll start with Rocco. Rocco?
So what's up, everyone? My name's Rocco. I am one of the founding members of the Pittsburgh Craft Beer Society. I have much more experience in beer than I am in whiskey. and I currently have a bunch of cheap stuff on my bar, and I'm trying to get more educated, and Aaron and the whole group here have been great. So looking forward to this, and I just hope I don't embarrass myself.
I embarrass myself every time, so you're good, Ray. Rocco.
Adam?
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm also one of the founding members of Pittsburgh Craft Beer Society. I'm more versed in beer, but I've really taken more of a liking to whiskey, especially as of late. So I've expanded my repertoire, and I'm here to learn something just like everyone else. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers. And Ray.
Yeah, I'm Ray. When Aaron was so kind to add me to Pittsburgh Whiskey Friends when he first started it, I left because I thought that I didn't know enough, and then I came back and been in there for years, and big fan of all whiskey. Probably prefer Scotch more than anything else. I long for the days whenever we used to be able to buy hookers on the shelves, no issue. But enjoy the chase a little bit. Back behind me is a little bit of my whiskey cabinet, and excited to do this blind and be surprised.
Awesome. From an admin perspective, you have myself, Aaron Hyduke. Scott's across from me. Alex is up north with Umberto. Then we have Bobby also up in Umberto land. Also across from me, we have Mishi, who some of you may have met at one of the events, may not. I don't know. But you probably know that is Scott's wife. And they are next to one another. If you can join their two screens together, you would see that they form one to twin towers. So, we've all poured a little sample of A over here. If you would like to do the same, if you have, good. If you haven't, put a little in your glass and let's get going.
And you want to start with nose as well first, right?
We usually start with a little color, a little swirl.
That's right.
See what kind of legs we get, if any.
Yes, looks like a little bit of legs on there.
Just slightly oily.
Yep, just a slight oiliness.
Mm-hmm.
They're fast. I mean, they're running quick.
I don't even see any on mine, to be honest with you. But I'm also using a Winnie the Pooh jam jar. So.
That might be impacting your...
I don't know. That might help.
Winnie is taking...
So what you're saying is you're going to get lots of notes of honey.
Yeah.
A joke. Well done, John.
Yeah, speaking of honey, there's a bit of a kind of a dark honey color here.
Mm-hmm.
Might be the lightest out of all four. We'll have to go through. But,
I know. I
that
keep
was my first
bending down to
impression,
look.
too.
yeah, and but it's not light at all in comparison to what whiskey can be. But,
So if you'd like to take a little nosing.
getting some
definitely
pepper, spice.
Granny Smith apple.
At the tail end, I get some of the spice. Definitely, I can agree with the
Kind of get like
spice
multi-grain
It's
bread
like
as
up
well.
front, I'm getting like, but like up front, I get like ethyl alcohol, like right up front.
I definitely get that apple note.
I get that spice on the back end and a little bit of oak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely pulling the apple out. That seems to be the predominant thing. It's almost like a baked apple.
Yeah.
Yep. Some spice,
Yeah.
apple. Definitely.
Apple cinnamon.
Definitely a little bit of that alcohol note.
Mm.
If you'd like to take
do
a
that.
taste, please do.
Hello. How are you? I'm fine.
Whew.
All right. On the taste, I definitely get up front. I get a little bit of that apple, like
Yeah,
up front on
baking
the
like
taste.
baking spices, like that type of thing's predominant for me. Like a cinnamon, like that. That whole vibe is what I'm missing.
I get cinnamon. I'm actually surprised because I don't. Okay, now like at the very tail end, like going down, I start to get the heat like way down here. Otherwise, I don't get much heat most of the way down. Then it just gets really late.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same for me.
Right in the sternum.
Yeah. I get kind of like a banana nut bread flavor.
Yeah, you know
Maybe
what?
some corn sweetness. But yeah, I get a lot of like banana nut bread.
Nut banana, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. It's definitely up there in the ABV. I'd probably guess in the 55 range or so.
Ooh, we're diving into ABV and proofage. I like it.
No, but what I do like is I hate to use the word like soft, but like there's no burn when you drink. Like the burn is so far after. I just took another little nip, and it's just I'm not getting any of the like vapors or any of the stuff that you would typically get from a high ABV thing, at least in my opinion. But it has the taste of one, but not the secondary aspects of one.
And I'm just going to confirm. I'm just going to confirm that we're doing A, correct?
Yeah.
Because no one's picked this out yet, and I thought for a second I poured the wrong sample, but I'm getting peat on the back end. I'm getting the smokiness.
You should be.
Okay, good.
Look, I'm trying not to lead anybody.
Right, yeah, that's why I sat back and let those guys talk a little bit, and I just want to make sure I didn't pour the wrong sample out.
So you're saying you're picking up peat, and if that's
on the back end.
Then this might be like the lightest peat. I mean, maybe my experience is all with, super peated scotches.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think of peat, I think of it super overtly. But I mean, if it's so subtle that I can't pick it up, that's awesome.
It's on the back.
Yeah.
It's the back of the mouth.
On the end.
Kind of hit.
Little smoke and char.
Yeah, I get a little bit of the charry notes, but not peat in the sense that I would get from like a Ardbeg or Roig or.
No, it's definitely not that extreme, but it for me it's on the back end and it hits, like I said, at the end, and I like it.
Maybe this is a peated. Maybe it's not a Scotch, but a peated whiskey.
So I did a little splash of water, and you get like honey on the nose with the water.
Yeah.
We go ahead and
add your water if you'd like.
Yeah.
So now that I've tasted it, I've gone back to the nose, and I get a little bit more of a smoky note on the nose now.
I get more grain now with water. I definitely get some sweet, much more predominant upfront sweetness than I was getting previously.
Agreed. On the sweetness aspect, I don't really get the grain.
100% agree on the sweetness. That sweetness is very pronounced up front.
And it killed whatever alcohol.
Yeah, and actually, it's more like but it definitely is more banana nut bread after a little water added to it. So it's like, that banana nut bread really comes through up front.
Yeah. Yeah, the water really helps open it up a bit.
That, with the water, that is an excellent pour.
Honey sweet.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get honey sweet and grain.
That's good.
With the water.
I get just a little bit of char on the back of the tongue.
Way on the back, yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wondering if this is like a local whiskey.
Would anybody in a since we've tried water, we've added anybody in a guessing mood?
I mean, I am, but I'm going to let the guests go first.
Well, Alexander mentioned he thought it was Liberty Pole. Do they have a?
They have a peated bourbon and a peated rye.
That's what my guess is. It's a peated rye. That's exactly what my guess is. Liberty Pole.
Anything
peated rye.
Anything in particular that makes you feel rye?
Yeah, from the very beginning, I felt a lot of the like the spicy notes that you would get from rye. So kind of like the baking spice, allspice, maybe a tiny bit of kind of like pepper even. And then, kind of like, the same way that whole grain, bread would have, some, or maybe like a rye bread. I was getting a lot of that front and center. And then with the water, it opened up to a little bit more honey, and then, the back end had a little bit of, smoke to it. So I wouldn't say that it's a naturally, peated, whiskey, but, I think, a more, non-conventional, I guess, adding the peat to the rye whiskey.
Yeah, I'll agree with Ray. I honestly, and I know this is a shame because everyone loves it, I have yet to try the Liberty Pool peated rye or whiskey. It comes highly recommended from many, many people, and I still haven't gotten to try it. But from the description I've heard of it, I would say this is probably the rye. I mean, you get that little rye bite, you get the pepper, and it's not overwhelmingly peat. So, I mean, it's so small. The peat is so light that I wouldn't even say it's like a Highland Scotch or something. But it's got to be something that's not Scotch, but does have the peat. So that would make sense for me.
Adam?
It's funny. The whole discussion of the peated rye, that's completely throwing me off because when I taste this, I actually thought Scotch. So that's why, the more that I think about the peated rye, definitely changes my dimension. Otherwise, before the mention of peated rye, I was pretty sure it was more Scotch than a rye whiskey.
Misha, you were saying you felt more Scotchy as well.
Yeah, I think it's more Scotchy than rye-y. But it has that punch that a rye has at first, where I don't, but it finishes like a Scotch to me. Like the meat feel of some of the Scotches.
You can see that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Mishy. I thought it finished like a Scotch. That was exactly what it.
Well, this could be a good educational moment for me. So, would you guys think this is a Highland Scotch, or where?
No.
What part? No. What Scotch where would you feel this is from, or what region? Sorry, I know it's a weird question, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think Iowa.
See, I was always under the impression that the Highland Scotches were the ones that were lightest in peat. Or do I have that completely backwards?
Well, you're not wrong, but there's low peat. There's no peat. You have varying, so there's a huge swing of varying degrees of peat in Scotches. Most Scotches have some level of peat. Not all of them bring that peat forward in a way that you get the charred meats or smoke or the vegetal earthiness of peat smoke. So I mean to say, I think from an Islay perspective, we tend to think of those very much in that meaty, unctuous, charry sort of way. And I think that finish of this is reminding people of that. Not to put words in anybody's mouth.
No, that's great. Thanks for that, Aaron. That's really informative. Scotch is the one, I've tried bourbons, ryes, all that. Scotch, I feel like all I've ever tried are the stuff that punches you in the mouth with smoke, and I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if Zach were here,
22.
He would bring up 22, Ardbeg 10, and say black marker. That there's certain peat can bring about this black marker characteristic as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some people,
I like black marker. I like the smell markers as a kid. I admit it. I didn't eat it though. I knew better than that. I did like smelling them.
That's when it gets into the realm of iodine. Yeah. I think in my mind, that's the black marker.
Yeah, the iodine, briny notes as well. But no, I don't get that in this.
Yeah, I do not get any kind of briny, black marker. I wouldn't even say, I don't even get any of that, like seaweed or salt spray or
Coastal.
Yeah, any of that kind of stuff. I definitely get that smoked meat unctuousness. That kind of like if you go into a smokehouse, the first thing that you get hit with this sweet meat smoke kind of note, and I definitely get that on the finish of this, along with that char, kind of charred wood, charred barbecue, like
Smoked ham.
Smoked ham, yeah.
Hmm. I can see the smoked ham portion.
So we have a guess on some type of scotch. We have a guess on some type of peated rye. Nobody thinks peated bourbon.
No, I do.
Is that correct? Oh, John thinks peated bourbon.
I don't get a typical. If this is LP peated, I don't get their typical rye kick. I find this a little bit more sweeter. And I also want to go against the grain a little bit because I do think it's LP. But I'm going to go peated bourbon.
So we have a couple.
I was going to
go
say,
ahead.
it tasted more like rye the first time I had it. When I added the water, it did go more into the bourbon category, but I'm still leaning towards the rye more than the bourbon.
And there's varying degrees of rye too. Like, I mean, to be a rye doesn't mean you're going to have an excessive amount of rye in you. Like 51% is, and then it could all be something sweeter. So it's not, I mean, there's a lot of leeway there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
cool.
Does everybody have their thoughts and ideas about sample A kind of locked in?
Yep.
All right. Yep. So, take a little bit of water, have a cracker, anything you want to kind of clear your palate.
Some Chick-fil-A fries.
Chick-fil-A fries.
Those are always good.
So, hopefully everybody has B in their glass.
Yeah,
got it.
So from a color perspective, you think lighter, darker, same?
Teeny bit darker.
Just slightly more into like an amber color.
Yep, definitely getting a little more red.
Yeah, maybe 2 shades darker maybe than A was.
I'm not seeing a bunch of fast running legs on this one. I'm seeing a lot, still seeing some fast runs, but they're more individualized. They're not falling in sheets.
Yeah, I'm getting almost none. Just
might be my tiny little baby glass.
Yeah. How many ounces does that hold, Aaron? Does that hold 2 ounces?
No, I'm seeing individual
if I filled it to
legs.
the top.
Okay, that's
if
funny.
it filled all the way to here, it would be 2 ounces dead on.
Wow. Yeah, that would be good for mead as well, I would think.
Yeah, I see individual legs.
Yeah, I'm with Ray. I'm not getting any, but once again, it may be my inferior glassware. When I say inferior, I mean I'm on to the giant panda.
Your giant panda's taking the legs away.
I'm loving this glassware, Rocco.
Really. No.
But I have about
Rocco's got the bears covered.
Oh, just wait till you see the next two.
I'm over here with all my Glencairns, and Rocco's outshining me with his Winnie the Pooh bear and panda.
I'm
glasses.
loving the.
Will there be a National Lampoon moose glass?
Oh,
the moose out front should have told you.
All right, drunk food
it could
panda.
happen.
Challenge is laid down.
Fresh Fest glass, but I didn't have 4 uniform ones, so shout out to Fresh Fest with DigiFest.
So if you'd like to take a nose on this,
oh, definitely sweeter.
Oh, that nose is hot.
Butterscotch.
Very grainy.
I agree with Scott. I'm getting butterscotch.
Definitely get butterscotch.
Just sweetness. Like it's just maybe it's the other one wasn't. I'm just getting a whole bunch of sweetness.
This makes me think like this might be a weeder. I'm getting even like green apple notes, maybe dried apricot.
I'm getting almost like caramelized sugar.
I like that, Rocco.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
That's more, yeah, there we go. I'm on board with that.
A lovely creme brulee.
Yeah, I get that caramel, butterscotch.
Oh, yeah. That definitely get that caramelized sugar on the taste. Wow, it's like, yeah, very caramelized sugar, like brown sugar, caramelized sugar. A lot of heat up front. But it's like a lot of sugar, maybe mild butterscotch on the taste, very mild. But I get
so I'm the only one that gets fruity notes? I get like a caramel apple type flavor.
I can see that on the taste.
There's
yeah,
definitely some
caramel apple. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
I didn't get it as much on the nose, the fruit side, but definitely on the entry.
Yep.
Just the slightest alcohol burn on the nose if you get too deep into the glass.
Oh yeah, no, the nose definitely has an alcohol burn. Absolutely. It's hot
maybe
on the nose,
I drink too many ryes, but am I also picking up like a peppery note at the end?
I don't know. Are you?
I don't know. I mean, I think I am. Like I'm tasting it, but like I said, I tend to drink mostly ryes at the house, so I'm wondering. That's one of the things I tend
that's
to
what you're tasting.
But I'm picking it. That's what I'm feeling. It tastes like a rye to me.
Yeah, I think there's.
I'm with you on that.
Like
I get
like a high ABV rye.
I get a nice little, just right back here on the sides, a little bit of burn, but not like right on the edges.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely get that pepper spice note on the back end.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm doing my notes on my phone,
I wouldn't
by the
say,
way, so.
For me, it's not black pepper. I would say more white pepper.
This is into like the baking spices, like the brown spices.
No.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, maybe a tiny bit of cinnamon.
Yeah, I could definitely get a little red hot out of this, the cinnamon red hots.
Maybe a pinch of nutmeg.
Aaron, that's a really good description. Cinnamon red hots. That's the type of almost the type of pepper.
Yeah.
Is like the cinnamon red hot peppers. Yeah, a little.
But I also get this little bit of slight campfirey-ness right on the end, right finish. Like there's this this little bit of hint, and I almost get a bit of toasted marshmallow between the sweetness and the caramel and like all that mixed with that smell. I'm not saying it is marshmallow. It's like reminiscent of marshmallow.
Marshmallow.
But when I added water, all I'm getting now is like the sweetness, and I'm getting a little bit of that heat. Like just that's on the nose once I added the water.
I'm getting actually a lot of heat, particularly kind of like tongue numbing heat for me. Titrate it with some water here.
With the water, the what I'm calling the rye bite is subdued, but it's still there, and I'm getting a little bit of burn, like right in the sternum, like right in the chest, but not much. It's a pleasant burn, and it's right at the end, like right at the very finish.
You know, with the little bit of water, I get more of the fruity notes that were described.
Same here. I get a lot
but
more.
I'm definitely getting more of the fruity notes that were described earlier.
I agree with that.
With a little bit of dilution.
Brown
yeah,
sugar.
it's like there's less emphasis. I mean, before I was getting so much emphasis on that caramelized sugar, and now I get that's muted some, so I can actually get the rest of the notes. I definitely
get
the,
apple and brown sugar
fruity notes
with the water.
I'm getting that campfire marshmallow on the back of my palate.
Yeah, I get apple and brown sugar.
Mm. I'm getting that campfire marshmallow on the back of my palate.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I'm getting that campfire marshmallow on the back of my palate.
Yeah, I get apple and brown sugar with the water.
Mm.
That cinnamon note came out a lot more with the water for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I can't quite pinpoint it. There's a specific note I'm getting like way back here, like right toward the back of the tongue, or about 3/4 of the way to the back of the tongue. There's a note that I can't exactly describe, but it's very
sweeter,
reminiscent of
savory,
something.
spicy. If you were to try and pin it down, would you say sweeter, spicy, savory?
Spicy. It's
spicy.
It's between sweet and spicy. Sweet and spicy. Yeah.
I feel like this is a barrel strength, cask strength bourbon.
Yeah,
it's big.
It's really.
Yeah, it's got some heat.
I think I'm going to be way off on this, but I actually have kind of a guess where I think this might be going. For whatever reason, this reminds me of Knob Creek, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it's what it reminds me of. And I'm thinking maybe like a Knob Creek cask strength or something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just something about it reminds me of Knob Creek. I could be way off base on it, but that's what I'm sticking with. It's like a Knob Creek cask strength or barrel strength or something like that.
Well, you know, the funny thing, I was thinking, with the sweet and spiciness, go ahead.
I was wondering, what was there was a PWF Knob Creek barrel tank. Which one, what was that we had?
There was 3.
You guys remember?
There was 3.
Oh. Well, I guess I just got one. You see, I actually didn't open it yet.
And actually, should give everyone a plug. I tried last year's Maker's Mark from Alex, the wonderful gentleman he is, and it was amazing. So I bought 1 bottle this year, and I might try to talk to Mrs. into letting me get 2.
That's what I was just going to ask. Did you buy a bottle of this year's?
You know I did.
Attaboy.
They're going fast. Get them now while you can.
Oh yeah, I just got the closer. I know that there was the chain.
You got the one with the most age on it.
Yes.
The closer's nice.
Yeah, it's real nice.
I'm looking forward.
You got to open that bad boy up. It's good.
I know. I was gonna say I haven't even opened it up. I'm just staring at it, and it's 68 proof. That would be a good guess if you guys were nice enough to let me try it without opening my bottle yet.
So, go ahead, Ray. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, I was just saying maybe that's what it is the closer, or I would even say, I don't know, it might even be something like, and I haven't actually had this one yet, the Maker's Mark RC6, something like that. So like,
yep, you read my mind. That's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's
100%, because it's got that heavy sugar note is what made me think that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I found that's wild about Makers is depending on what staves and stuff they throw in, like you get that same base sweetness generally, but like it can go in all kinds of directions.
Yeah.
That's why I really like these. I mean, in general, when you get like single barrel selects, you know, like private picks and stuff like that, like, yeah, they're going to be different than the usual standard offerings, but, that's what I really like about like the Maker's picks is because literally like every one of them can be different from each other, like more so than just regular single barrels. You know what I mean? Because you got the single barrel aspect of it as well, but then they throw those staves in there, and depending on who's doing the pick, the staves are going to be very different, you know? And that's why I'm excited for this one that we're getting.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
But for me, see, I don't want to use the word cask strength because that can be deceiving because cask strength can vary in ranges. I'm going to go, I think it is higher proof. I want to say it's in like the 110 ranges. I'm not going to say cask strength because cask strength could mean, you know, any higher proof. Right. You know what I mean?
But you think higher than 100?
I definitely think high. I think definitely higher than 110. Because it's got a little like either my palate has gotten better since Bobby's been on the show, or this is only around 110 ish.
Yeah, I thought the last one was around 55%. So I'm saying this one's probably So this one has to be more than that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would have guessed last one coming in around, I don't know, 100 proof. And this one, I'm thinking, I'm agreeing with John. I'm leaning more towards like $1.10, $1.15.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, you know, the funny thing, Maker's mark cast strength is 111 proof, if I remember correctly.
I will be very impressed with myself.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe I'll say the other one was 100 proof, and this is 110 plus.
Yeah, if I called this as Knob Creek, I might run around tall stance in the street. There's not a snowball chance in hell I would guess anything else.
I don't get Knob Creek, but that's just me because Knob Creek for me has a lot of like a really like nutty aspect to them. I didn't get that with this, but I also have only had one. If this is one of our picks, I've only had one of them. I haven't had all of them, so.
Yeah, I find Knob Creek to generally be a little bit sweeter, and I don't discard the nutty what you say, but like for me, it's more sweetness up front, and then you get that rye bite at the end. Mm-hmm. I love it because I get bottles. I think it's the 100% rye. You get bottles over for like $24, and it's perfect.
Yeah, I think it's a wheater. So that's what's or at least has a higher amount of wheat than a lot of whiskeys. Because of that sweetness and sort of the traditional wheated notes. I'm kind of curious to see what Scott thinks, but I know he already knows. But it's just kind of funny watching his reactions.
Yeah, I know. I try to like say things and like look at him, but
yeah,
sometimes
he smiled after
yeah.
Said, make Knob Creek.
Yeah, I can't wait until it's actually like Japanese whiskey or something.
Nailed it. One never knows. I'm sneaky.
Yeah.
You are.
So, are we all good on B at the moment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, get a drink, a little sip of water, get some palate cleansers if you need it.
So I will say this, there's a Knob Creek sitting in front of me. This isn't it, though.
Oh, nice. Single barrel.
Yep. It's actually a 13 and a half year that we picked up in Kentucky a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think Knob Creek is wholly underrated.
Very.
You know what? It's not just. I mean, Knob Creek, I think, is very underrated, but there's also, I think a lot of the big places are underrated as far as their $20, $30 offerings go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of really nice, like expensive stuff, and don't get me wrong, but like for someone like me, the difference between like Sazerac and Sazerac, to me, I won't be able to taste the difference really. It might be a little bit different. So like things like that are wonderful, having cheap bottles floating around.
Yeah.
You would definitely know the difference between Baby Saz and Saz 18. There's if you ever get to do them side by side, you will definitely see the difference. I assure you.
That's the reason I brought it up is because I've actually been to the Sazerac bar and I wanted to do something like that, but it was way out of any reasonable price that I was allowed to spend in New Orleans.
So if you want to go ahead and pour a little bit of sample C. C as in cat. C as in C, senor.
All right.
C as in corn whiskey.
Maybe.
Cheers.
Could be. You never know.
Mellow corn. That'd be great if you threw in a cheapie like that in there.
You definitely would know by the color.
I was drinking mellow corn before the hipsters started jumping in on the mellow corn craze.
So we did mellow corn in the one of the advent calendars
2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many guesses that it was Scotch just because of the color.
Oh.
People couldn't quite figure out what it was.
Yeah.
It went off color alone, and it's so light. Melicorn is such a light yellow,
Yeah.
that people were so many guesses on Scotch. And I'm like, that would be the sweetest Scotch ever, because Melicorn is so sweet.
That's right. I thought it was Buffalo Trace. So
Yep.
that was like early on in the show.
So would you say this is darker or similar in shade to the last one?
Looks a little bit darker.
Or
Slightly
I'd say it's
darker.
maybe, yeah, I mean, I think it's very
darker.
similar to the last one.
but
Maybe
it
maybe
looks
a
pretty
hue or
similar
two.
to this.
Yeah. We're getting a lot more legs on this, though. A lot more.
I'm even getting legs in
Yeah,
my.
a lot of individual legs.
This is the new glass, by the way, everybody.
You went back to poo, or you have a second poo?
Oh, back to Pooh.
Another
Oh,
poo
yeah.
glass.
With Christopher Robin.
Multiple
Got you.
poos.
Okay.
Oh. Well, you've
This
got
smells very
poo
familiar.
glasses.
Ray, I was just about to say that. It smells familiar. It smells like bourbon. It smells.
Yeah.
I don't.
Candy
if it's 100
apple.
proof, that's pushing it.
Yeah, it just
Do you think
smells
it's under
like...
100 proof?
I don't.
Without
think,
tasting
I mean,
it. On the
No,
nose.
I'd
without
say
tasting
under.
it, just from the nose. I'm saying under.
Yep.
That
The
nose
I'd say
is
like a
really
standard
hot.
47, 45, 47.
This is my favorite nose so far of the three I've had.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Oh yeah, of the three, this
A
is the
lot of-
most like dessert-like nose. This is
Mhm.
definitely the sweetest nose of the three, in my opinion.
I get
Absolutely.
some vanilla frosting type notes. Sweet,
Definitely
sweet
get
brown
that sweetness.
sugar. Yeah.
I get a little bit of fruit in this.
Mhm.
Right, laying kind of underneath that sweetness.
We've
Yeah.
been watching a lot of Great British Baking Show over here, so some of the terms I want to use would be ridiculous right now. It smells like
Use
creme
it.
I
patissier.
love that
Thank
show.
You.
Don't hold back.
Smells like vanilla bean creme patissier. Thank you. But no, I do get that vanilla very prevalently.
Yeah.
Like
I get
caramel.
vanilla.
I mean, I get a creme
you're-
brulee. Essentially, what I'm thinking of right now.
I think Mitchie, you nailed it with pear.
Yeah, sorry.
That
Ooh,
little
pear.
See some pear?
Yeah, I get pear under. That's the fruit note that I get underneath.
Pear
that
is probably I
sweetness.
get more
Mhm.
from pear. Yeah.
Are we on just trying it yet?
Yeah, please.
Oh, that is very.
Oh,
That's
very
delicious.
sweet.
Sweetness carries through on the palate.
That's sweet. That's tasty. It
Mm.
warms you. Like it just. I enjoy
Yeah.
this. Whatever this is, I really like this.
Yes, I will say this
It's
one.
like a soothing sweetness.
Going into
It is.
this, I had a feeling this was going to be my favorite of the evening because I really liked it when I had it by itself. I liked it when I paired it with a couple other things, had it with a cigar, enjoyed it with a cigar. It went well with so many different things that I couldn't, I was really liking this one a lot.
Aaron, did you open this? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ray. No.
Aaron, did you open this up at Leaf and Bean?
I did not.
I get that. I didn't get the vanilla. Whoever said vanilla frosting on the nose.
Yeah, that was.
I get that at the front with the taste.
Mm-hmm.
Like right up front. I get a little bit of a kick in the back, and I'm trying to figure out if that's a spice kick or a proof kick. But I can't tell. But I get a nice warming
I
hug.
think
with
it might be a little bit of a proof kick. Yeah, because of the that sudden kick, I'm thinking that might be more of a proof kick than a spice kick. Usually with
it
the spice,
tastes a
I
lot
get
stronger
something
than the nose.
that
Yes,
it graduates
Rocco.
into it. But in the middle, I get like that warm buttered toffee. Like after the sweet note, that warmth that just kind of emerges is like buttered toffee.
Gooey butter cake.
It's very buttery, yes.
It's noticeably more viscous.
It's a little oily.
And I mean, like, I don't think we're going into like fireball territory here or anything, but it's certainly more viscous.
Wouldn't that be a twist if that's what D ends up
Oh my
being?
god! I have a bottle of fireball.
Aaron snuck some fireball in there.
Does anybody else get like the real drying finish on the palate?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. The finish is a lot drier than I would expect.
That's actually a really good way to put it. I've never thought of whiskey or bourbon or any of that like having a dry finish before. I always wine.
Love the finish. Yeah, it's not overly warming. It's not too light. It's like this
I like
nice
that.
little.
Yeah.
I could see. Yeah, I see your point, Aaron, about this going really well with a cigar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those of us that get that.
If you haven't added water and you'd like to, please do.
Those of us
and again,
that.
It's never a requirement. I just like to highlight that whiskey can change with that little bit of water. Can open up. It can bring some new flavors forward that you weren't tasting without the water. It can hide some flaws.
Aaron and I were talking offline. There's like a barbecue rib finish to it, and the water brings that out.
Yeah. I can get that kind of savory, umami note.
Those of us that got the the proof kick on the back end, do you think this is higher or lower than B, proof wise?
I think lower. I think it's in the like $1.05 to $1.10 range. I don't think it's. There's a kick there, but I don't think it's an overt kick in the teeth.
But you think it's over 100 at least?
I think it's over 100.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Anybody think it's under 100?
It's so weird because the nose would tell you that the nose came off so subdued to me that it wouldn't indicate it's this high ABV. But once you taste it, I think it's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. But I think 100 is that fancy range
out there,
right? Where the nose can hide that higher proof.
Yeah. I added about 4 drops of water, and I don't think I would want to add too much more.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think
I prefer it without the water.
I agree. Because the water took away like that warm middle stage, that warm like almost toffee like sense, and also it definitely subdued that sweetness up front.
It did, but I felt like that sweetness was almost the main thing going for this. Like that's what I enjoyed the most out of the thing. So once that water went in,
that's what I mean. I liked it without the water. I felt like as it was without the water was definitely far cry better.
Bobby, do you know what this is? Or are you guessing like us?
I'm just guessing.
What are some of your tasting notes?
I think C is boldest and most bright notes of the ones that we've had so far. I think that B strikes hard with vanilla and caramel and rye. Some of my favorite parts about C are how sharp it is. It's a bright whiskey for me.
What would you say? What do you think it is? You think bourbon, rye, scotch?
I would say I think that it is a bourbon. However, if I was told it was a rye, I wouldn't be shocked.
What about B?
For me and B, I think B is also a bourbon. However, if it were like a 51% rye, I wouldn't be super shocked. But I like B and C quite a bit compared to A. Has anybody tasted D yet?
No, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're on C.
We're going to do a palate cleanse, and then we're going to go into D.
I'm about to bust out some notes for B and C, so please, everybody, play along.
John, permission to go on a quick tangent since we got Bobby online now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bobby, how was Booker's Dry?
Scott, I must tell you, Booker's Rye is available and drinkable for $2,000. It is one of the most amazing whiskeys I've ever had. So,
oh, nice.
It's not my number one. I don't think it's the best whiskey I've ever had. But it fits in the top 10 in a way that most of us wouldn't really understand. Like, it's so smooth. I say that as someone that doesn't respect smooth. It's so nice. It's so great and so sweet. I was blown away. I really was. It's so nutty, though. That nuttiness of the beam profile just reaches out and tries to choke you. But that makes it so fun because that's relevant. That's relevant to those of us that have drank regular bourbons and regular scotches. And oh my, I couldn't pick anything else over it. However, the Highland Park 30 and the Lafroig 32 were close.
Oh. Wow, that's strong words from you.
Yeah.
All right, so we are moving on to D.
Yeah, let's
should we give guesses for C?
Oh, yeah, please. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
guesses for C.
It's familiar to me. I'm thinking it might be some version of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
Okay.
Don't know which one, but it has a familiar profile to me. Hits all the notes. That's one of my favorites.
You're saying bourbon.
Yeah, so I'm saying bourbon.
You're saying a high proof.
ECBP. Yeah.
If this is an Elijah Craig barrel proof, then this just changed my view on that whiskey.
Honestly, John, I'm with you. If this is an Elijah Craig barrel proof, I am blown away.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very soft, very enjoyable 15 to 20% rye bourbon.
I'm going to throw this out there. For me, and maybe I'm misremembering because I've tried some, but I've really only had the Ocean. It's a house bottle. I think it has like a profile of the Jeffersons.
Okay.
But I'm not entirely sure which version. But I know one of the reasons, and at least I think this is right. The Jefferson's Ocean I have has a pretty high rye bill, even though it's bourbon. And I really enjoyed that. So I'm thinking it might be somewhere along those lines.
I agree.
Adam?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, Rocco, because that was kind of what was throwing me off. I haven't had Jefferson's anything in a couple of years, and I was just like, there's something about it that lingered, and that might be it. And I might be on board with you there, Rocco, because there's something about that profile that kind of strikes a bell, but it's not something I've had recently.
You know what? One of the things that I think is interesting is like I've never had any of like the Elijah Craig single barrel, any of that stuff. But like, I could be way off, and I probably am. But like, I'm taking my guesses off of the lowest grade version of each one that I have on my shelf. Like, Elijah Craig, I have the $24 bottle of. Like, it's just trying to pick the damn profile out of it.
One of my daily bourbons used to be Elijah Craig 12 year when they used to have an age statement. So you used to get that for I think it was under 30.
I have A, B, and C of ECBP. Yeah. So I have the 2019. I have the 19 A, B, and C for ECBP, and I don't think it rung a bell in that sense. So. That's why I wasn't sure about that, but the Jeffersons might be more along the lines of what I was thinking.
Interesting. So, John, what you don't think? Well, I should say, you feel like if it is an Elijah Craig barrel proof, you're amazed beyond amazed.
100%. I've had two different ones. One with Bobby on the show, and then one previously at an event I went to, and the high proof aspect of those was just not in my palate, and I just did not enjoy them. But if this is a certain, offering of Elijah Craig barrel proof, then I'm going out and finding this bottle because I actually really enjoyed this one. But I do think, as I said before, I think it's over 100 proof, definitely.
Before we move on, I think this bottle the best so far. Like I think this is the best 4 out of the 3 thus far. At least
which one, Rocco?
C.
I like C the best.
We're still on C, Bobby.
Yeah, I think C is the best thus far.
So but John, if you were to hazard a guess on what you think C is, what would you think? What do you think it might be?
Well, I finished what I had in there. Hold on, let me pour a little more.
Save some for Zach.
I haven't even gone a quarter of the way down the bottle. We're good.
B and C are both excellent.
Would you? Yeah, I won't go there yet.
I'm not sure because it does have that. I could see. It has that little bit of a higher proof, like over 100, but it could shock me as a rye. I continuously have that battle of proof versus rye spice. I don't know. I honestly I can't pinpoint it down other than I know it's definitely over 100. Which isn't very specific, but we know I'm bad at guessing.
We're going to move on to D.
Mm-hmm.
So please pour some D as in David. When you say
The color
not too
definitely
much.
not as.
Hey, solidarity. Solidarity.
I was going to say, it doesn't stand out as much as the last two.
Yeah,
A little bit lighter.
Red.
Lighter.
I get no legs.
No legs on 4? On D?
Well, getting a little swirl here.
I get very little. Very.
Yeah, I get pretty much.
Yeah,
No, actually, I do.
Light.
They're
It's light
slight.
compared to what we've done. Yeah.
very
Not as
slow.
much as
Very
But compared
slow.
to the last two, yeah, this is. Yeah, see,
Not
I
as
got
much
a
as
lot.
C.
This, I
Very,
barely
very
get
slow legs.
Yeah, I don't get as much sheeting or runners. I get a very, very defined circle with little droplets slowly breaking off.
Agreed.
My zebra isn't giving me any kind of leg.
The zebra is nothing but legs.
on the nose. I think this is a rye.
Agreed.
Like rye spice.
I think it's rye.
Yeah, I definitely get the spice. Definitely get
Ooh,
spice.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I get a peatiness.
Definitely
I was
spice.
just about to say that, Bobby. I smell
Yes.
it's almost like a charcoaly peat, like a smoky something.
I get some
Yes,
smoky.
Rocco.
Some smoke.
Yes. Aaron, did you
Little
hit
bit of
a
Band-Aid.
back setter?
I don't know.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he posted on one of the social medias that he opened up his backsetters.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I'm right, but I'm not sure that I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'm just having fun.
I get bubble gum on the nose.
So I may be I just took a little sip of this. It's got that smoke this tastes like a peated rye more than the first one. This is what I would imagine a peated rye to taste.
So real quick, let's go back to nose for a second.
Oh, my bad.
On
Sorry.
the nose, we said we feel that there's some peat in this. What other notes are we detecting in here?
I got bubble gum. It's just
Spices.
like a pink hubba bubba.
Hubba bubba bubblegum.
I get spices.
Definitely I definitely get some of that baking spice notes.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody get a fruit sweetness?
I get a sweetness,
Could be
but I'm having
bubblegum.
trouble
Yeah,
figuring
sweet
out what
or
that's.
bubble gum, either one.
I do when I waft it around my nose and not hold it directly. I get some honey sweetness. Kind of like maybe like graham cracker.
I can't get past,
Little bit of
past
ginger.
the smokiness.
Graham cracker. That's an interesting.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
me,
yeah,
the
ginger,
smokiness
I
is
can
kind of
definitely see the
overwhelming
ginger.
a little bit.
I'm with you, buddy.
But I think that's
Ginger
just I'm sensitive
snap.
to it.
Yeah.
I get ginger snap cookie with that
definitely
baking spice.
Yeah.
All right, so on the taste. This is another one that I find drying.
I do get ginger, a little bit of ginger on the taste. Yeah, the ginger snap. I see where the ginger snap comes from in the taste.
I get a
the
leatheriness.
finish, what is that?
It's like sweet ginger.
Definitely leather.
I still
dry-
get that ginger snap, kind of like
I
a
still taste that
molasses.
smoke.
Yeah.
Molasses Ginger snap.
Molasses, ginger snap.
Very late heat going down. Very late heat going down.
I'd say it's a lower
I got a
proof
very-
than the previous one.
I got a very drying experience with this.
I am too.
But in a
It's
nice way.
very
I
drying
agree with you there, Ray.
the whole way through,
Okay.
but still oily. I don't know how that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
like it's super coating, and it leaves
Yes.
this lingering loveliness behind. Almost like when you get that first bite of like a big red gum, you get that tingly spice filling your mouth. I get that on the drying finish. Like my whole mouth kind of lights up with that tingle.
Absolutely.
I'm also feeling buzzed for the first time today. So,
Aaron, I added a little bit of water to mine, and like I'm getting like big red on the nose. Like the cinnamon really came out for me.
Yeah,
right off the bat.
that's yeah.
There's that bubblegum cinnamon thing. So have a little.
So the water changed the taste for me, where I think it's clearly a rye by the taste now, and the peat and the smoke is almost gone when I added it. It's still there, but it's very small.
The water brings out all the grain.
Funny
on
you
the nose.
mentioned that, Rocco.
yeah.
Added water. I still get that.
Michelle didn't like it.
But in the taste, yeah, absolutely.
With water.
Tell us how you really feel, Michelle.
It is very drying. Yeah.
I'll go in with one.
You get a graininess to it.
definitely more of the cinnamon on
I like
with
that.
the water.
Sweet grain and sweet grain and smoke.
Yeah. Almost similar to the other one, but this seems to be a little bit sharper.
Yeah, I think the rye aspect.
Right, it has more of a bite.
Is what it is.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
More bite. Yeah.
I mean, the other flavors I think I don't want to say are muted, but they're similar, if not a little bit more muted than the past one. But the rye bite is very prevalent.
So would you, if you were to line up this sample D with any of the other samples, is there anything that it reminds you of from A, B, or C? A.
I mean, obviously the peat aspect
Well, yeah.
is
The
similar
peas.
to A, and
But I also
But this
pick up
one
the peat
has
a lot
more of a-
on this one than the last.
right, and this one has way more of a spice, like a rye spice kick on it than the previous one did. This is what I would expect if this is a peated rye. That is the spice level that I expect out of that.
Would this be a poster child for peated rye for you?
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for in peated rye, though. Because I still feel like the peat is very subdued. It's more of a rye than it is a peated anything. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think in peated ryes and peated bourbons, right, the goal is not to be,
It's supposed to be subtle.
it's supposed to be complementary, not overpowering, right? So,
Versus
Yeah,
like
I mean-
a finished, like a Scotch finished rye, where it makes it seems like it would be the opposite, but with a barrel finished rye, the peat comes out a lot more. At least with the ones I've had. That
so
peat,
you would say if it's a straight rye that's then barreled in a previous use peated Scotch barrel, you find the peat comes through stronger than in a rye that's made with peated malt or.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Yeah. That would be accurate.
So you're saying this sample D is more like which one? The one that's finished in a Scotch barrel or the one that's made with peated malt
I'm thinking made.
or peated barley.
I would say finished, second barreling.
You're going to say finished in a Scotch barrel. But John, are you saying the same, or are you saying made with a peated barley?
I'm going to say made.
Yeah.
Is anybody picking up on a potential theme that Aaron has laid down?
These could be all rye. or all smoked.
If that's the case, I don't know. Damn
None
it.
of these are whiskey.
Well,
They're all mezcals.
It might not necessarily all be rye, but they all highlight the rye. They could be, bourbons with a high rye mill, things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
That's
man.
awesome.
Or they could be double, they could all be finished in some other type of barrel. They might be all double barreled. Is that it, Aaron?
All mezcals might be a theme one day. I might have to make that happen, or at least throw one in for a little curveball.
Why is my bourbon clear? I don't understand.
Well, some mezcals are kind of murky, so you can get ones that are on the murkier side. So if we were to hazard a guess what sample D is, what guess would you hazard?
I'm going to say a peated rye of some kind. And actually, I think that tasting this, I kind of want to change my A to a peated bourbon. Because I really didn't get much peat on the first one. It was there, but it's very, very small, and I got much more of it this run. Personally, actually, I really enjoyed it on this one, which is odd because, like I said, I usually hate peat, but I think it complemented the bite of the rye really well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I said, there's a lot of variations on peat, so you can't always use an Ardbeg or Lafroig or Lagavulin as kind of your. Even I'm not a big fan of most Lafroigs, but I've had some older Lafroigs that were just divine. They were fantastic. Thanks, Humberto.
Thank you, Humberto.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the kind of barbecue mesquite notes. I don't know what it is though.
Does anybody else like to hazard a guess on sample D? John?
I mean, if it is a peated rye, there's only one that I know of, and it's a cask strength, and that's LPs. But I mean, I'm
you
partial.
Think this is cask strength?
Oh, I definitely think it's a higher proof. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's definitely some booze on this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I cheated and went and tried something else that I thought it was, and it's not that.
I would say this is much better than sample A. Whatever it is, I would give it, on a scale of 1 to 5, I would give it a full point higher than number 1.
So
yeah, I agree. I think A is my least favorite out of the 4.
Yeah.
I think A is an actual Scotch versus this, I think, is, as John said, LP peated rye.
Because their peated bourbon isn't cask strength, I don't believe, but the rye is.
The bourbon is not.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
If this is the peated rye, then I'm going out tomorrow to buy some bottles. Not tomorw, Sunday. I'll go out next week and get some bottles.
Now remember, there have been 2 releases of peated rye.
You are correct, and I have batch 1. I did not get a chance to get batch 2.
So was batch 1 what you went off camera and tried?
No, that was something else.
Okay, just curious.
just to confirm a suspicion that I had. Yeah, well, I'm staring at certain things, and I'm like, I was thinking it was that, and it's not that.
So pre-reveal, Rocco, rank your pre-reveal First, second, third, fourth.
Do we also want to use the rating, John?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that's not familiar with it, I feel like I repeat myself all the time, and anyone who is a continuous listener can just skip ahead a little bit. But so our rating on the show, right, is based off of a buy-bar pass rating. Okay, we're not giving letter grades or number grades or whatever here. So for a buy, since we're Yinzers, it's a house. You want to buy a bottle and bring it back to your house. Like Rocco just said, if this is the peated rye, he's going out at some point and buying himself a bottle. The bar aspect would be a downtown. You want to go try it at a bar downtown. And then the pass would be a throw it out. So you got house, downtown, throw it out. Are your ratings?
So
go ahead.
We'll go everybody. So Rocco, A, house, downtown, throw it out.
Throw it out for me.
Ray.
Yeah, I agree. Throw it out. It might be good as an introductory to the style for somebody new to that type of style, but it's not something I would go back to.
Adam. Nope, wait.
Throw it out.
Adam. Throw it out as well.
Interesting.
Scott?
I was not a big fan of. Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not that I necessarily disliked it. It's just it's not something I would go buy a bottle of at all. And like I probably once I find out what it is, I probably wouldn't spend money to buy it anymore.
I do have this at home, so I will give it a house just because I've already bought it.
Yeah, I mean, I would fall in that same category. I think, while it's not my favorite out of all the things I have, there's some things I do like about it. That entry, exactly what you were saying, or Ray, about it being like an entry for somebody. So when people come over and say like, I don't know that I really like peated stuff, that's kind of one I would start them with.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to get started. So yeah, I think it's always nice to have things on your shelf or on your bar that may not be my personal favorites, but are things to introduce to other people. And that's why it would be a house for me. It's a nice introductory bottle, for somebody that, is either hates, peat or feels like they do. And this is a way of changing that opinion. Like, try this. It's a little sweeter, has a little bit of smokiness. It's not, I don't think there's anything, to me, there's nothing off-putting in it. But I do think it's a nice entry for someone. More of an entry than the Freud 10, Ardbeg 10, any of the things that people typically say are entries.
Yeah.
It's more an entry than any of those.
I agree with you, and that's exactly why I would also rate it a Haas as a nice entry. Because I have a lot of, I don't have a lot of, other than, present company excluded, when it comes to family members, I don't have a lot that are big whiskey fans. So I tend to crowd my bar with a lot of entry-level style whiskeys for every aspect of it. And I would definitely, even though if we're ranking these as well, this is probably the bottom of the four. I still enjoyed it, and I would definitely have it as an entry level for someone. And so yeah, for me, it's a Haas as well.
Mishy? Is it house? Yeah, house, downtown, or throw it out?
Downtown.
5-4, don't want it in the house.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Even though apparently it's in our house. I want it in the house.
Scott will sell you a pour.
That's a sign that I got too many bottles. She doesn't even know that it's there.
Can you ever have too many bottles, though?
I would ask Humberto, but I think that house party went off the rails about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So let's go to B.
Yeah. Rocco?
So Rocco, start us off again?
I would say this is house. I like this one a lot. I would definitely have something like this on my bar. And in fact, I think I might have something similar. I don't think I have
Right.
the one that we tasted. It's something similar.
Yeah, this is totally Haas for me. Right up my wheelhouse with the flavor profile. So
Hooray!
love it. Yeah, sweet.
Adam?
I'd say B's downtown. Yep, definitely downtown. I mean, I liked it. I don't know that I would say house, but I did like it. I enjoyed it, and it's something that if it was available, I would definitely revisit.
Scott?
So just based off of my insider knowledge and what I know about B and C upcoming, B will be a downtown for me, and we'll talk about C in a moment.
John?
This is a Haas. I actually have this ranked as number 1 of the 4. So, yeah, I agree with Rocco and Ray. This is a Haas.
Does anybody else have it ranked as their number 1 for the night?
I have it as
Did everybody have A as their number 4 for the night?
Yeah.
I did.
I did.
Yes.
did.
Guilty.
So John's the only one with it in first place. Is it in second place for anybody?
Yeah, it's my second place.
Yeah,
It's
B
not,
is
it's not
my
a 3
second
for,
place.
it's 3 for me.
I'm also in third place.
Yeah, this would be third place for me as well. Mishy, what did you think of B?
Downtown.
And in your ranking for the night,
1 through 4.
1 through 4, would this be your
2.
2?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're on to C. So Rocco, house, downtown, or throw it out?
D is a house, and C was my number 1 of the evening. I loved everything about it. Just the taste of it. I think it might be the lowest proof of the night, perhaps, but I still feel like it's about roughly in that 100 proof range. And I enjoyed everything about that. I think that was my favorite 40.
Yeah, same here. Agree with Rocco. Taking this to the Haas. Number 1 for the night. I feel like it's also the most, I don't know how to say it, but it's probably like the most flavorful. I think it's also the most complex. So I think it's sort of, that also made it stand out.
Adam?
Yeah, 100% agree. I think what really was a differentiator for me was when, after adding a few drops of water, I felt like it took away, and I enjoyed the whiskey exactly as it was without the water, and that's house. That's house for me. I enjoyed it. My number 1.
Scott?
C is also Haas for me, and it's number 1 on the night for me. There's just so many great qualities about it. And I do agree with Adam that adding the water actually took away from the experience. So it's a winner on its own.
John?
This is a Haas, and this is number 2, and I really struggled between B and C of who was first. But as I said before, if this is Elijah Craig barrel proof, then I'm going out and buying multiple bottles. So this is a Haas for me.
Mishy? C?
Oh, C is a Haas, and it was my favorite of the night.
Sweet.
So C is my favorite as well. I loved this bottle the moment I opened it. It paired with everything I threw at it. I agree, water takes away from it. It's just great. I love it. I want more of it, and well, we'll get to that. So on to D. Rocco.
D is also a Haas for me. this is the first time I've ever tasted anything like this. The rye bite, the smokiness from the peat, I really enjoyed it. Honestly, it was a close call between this and C for me as far as number one in the evening. But this is just something so different, so unique to my palate that I really enjoy it. And when I find out what it is, I will be buying a bottle.
Ray?
I had to take another sip just to think about that. It's close. I'd say I'm taking it downtown, and it's probably my third favorite. But I think it's the most. I think it had the most sort of smoky flavors, which I dig. I think that came out more in that one than any other one, so I appreciated that.
Adam?
I put it between house and downtown. I mean, peated are not normally my thing, but I really enjoyed the flavor profile of this, and I felt like the peat actually complemented what was going on versus overwhelming it, which, I don't know if there's a hypersensitivity on my end, but I genuinely enjoyed it, and I'll call it downtown with the potential of house.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So once again, full disclaimer, D is already at my house. So it's definitely a house, and it comes in at number 2 for me. And I really love the smoky profile of it.
Fishy?
I'm thinking D needs out of the house. You like what you like. No, thanks. I'm good.
So is that your least favorite?
That was my least favorite everything.
Parky.
It reminded me of Welsh cheese. I like cheese, but it was just something weird and funky, and I don't know. Thank you, but I'm good.
Sorry, I had to yell at the dog in the middle of that.
Hey, Aaron, don't worry, dude. Mine are being surprisingly nimble right now. Look at these two. My co-pilots for the evening, both laying there on the chair.
John?
Haas. This is number 3. If it is what I think it is, I think I also, Scott, just like you, have it at my house. Yeah, I no other points to this one. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Yeah. No.
So 2 and 4 were fighting one another for me, like which one was going to go into my number 2 spot. But 4 Campbell D is my number 2 of the night. So B would be 3 and A would be 4. And this is another one that it is obviously in my house. And I love it. And, upside to this one is, all of you can run out and get some.
Yay.
So that's the bonus around.
That's always good to hear.
Of course, we can get everything that we just tried tonight, and Zach's not on this show.
So, yeah, I mean, A and D are the 2 you can find easily. B and C you're going to be hard pressed to find, but B and C are going to reappear. So when they are released again, you'll have to try and snag them.
So do you want to do the reveal like A through D? Yeah, let's just do that. Never mind.
Yeah,
because we all had different rankings, but.
Aaron, with that additional clues, that makes me think that D is something like Wiggle Kilted Rye, something like that.
Which one do you think is that?
D. D. Yeah.
Oh, D.
Yeah.
D. Yeah, D
okay.
as in Delta.
Interesting.
But it tasted different to me in my memory when I had it there, when they were so nice to give us a private tour a couple months ago. Or maybe that was close to almost a year ago now, but yeah, I thought I dug that a lot. I thought I got more of briny notes back when I had it. It's sort of like more typical Lefroy notes. This one I feel like it's a different type of Scotch, but yeah, I dig it. If that is it, I'll be excited.
Don't worry, Ray. A month feels like a year to all of us at this point.
It's not still March.
Yeah.
So, would you like me to reveal and you taste, or just reveal them all and we'll talk about it?
Let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Tell me them all.
So A is Wiggle Kilted Rye.
Oh, wow.
And I think A is, I think that one was 94 proof, I believe. Hold on.
Hold
I have
on.
to look it up on my phone.
No, I'll go get it. That's actually what I tried for D. That's what I snuck away to try. So hold on, I'll get it.
46? 46. Yeah, 46.
Okay.
So 92 proof. Or, 92 proof, 46%. And it's, so that's a rye that was then put into Lefroy barrels for finishing.
So just revisiting that, I just took a sip of that when you announced that. I do get the peat on it this time around, but I still think it's much more subdued than it is on D. But it's really good. I definitely get that rye bite. 100%.
Which is why I think I got myself all tangled up in confusion with D when I was talking about, made versus finished. Because I can't remember what I said. We just did a show on Wiggles Scotch finished bourbon. And I can't remember, because then I tried a little bit of LP's peated bourbon. And I can't remember which one I said had more of a peatiness to it. But based on what's happening here, I think I actually feel the opposite of what I just said, 10 minutes ago.
So B is from New Riff, and that is the Backsetter Straight Kentucky Bourbon, bottled in bond, 50% ABV, 100 proof.
Wow, only 100.
So,
okay.
So what they did with that is they took peated Backset and they added that into the straight bourbon.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean by peated Backset?
So backset is when they take the tail end of the previous distillation, and then they reintroduce it to the next batch, and it's supposed to help balance out the pH level when they're doing the new distillation.
So what's the difference between that and a sour mash?
No difference, but
Just different.
In this case, instead of it being a straight bourbon mash, they're using a peated distillate.
Gotcha.
So that's where you're getting the peat flavor in this particular case, is from the previous make.
One thing I'll mention is I've enjoyed everything I've tried from New Riff, but I hate their bottles. With a fiery passion, I hate those bottles look. I don't like the frosting on them. It looks like it should be like Rumpelmints or something instead of bourbon.
I actually like the design.
What's inside
they stand out for it. They're the only whiskeys that have that black mat.
I mean, that may be 10 years of bartending and bouncing in a college bar coming back to haunt me. But it's just, I don't know what it is. This bottle's just, I do not like it.
Fair enough. Zach is normally our critique of design.
Gorgeous.
So he's not with us tonight. So C is New Riff, Backsetter, Straight Kentucky Rye, 100 proof, bottled in bond. So that's another one that's a straight rye that has the peated Backset added into it, and that's what brings that characteristic out to it. And then D. So D is batch 1 of Liberty Pole, cast strength, peated rye.
Damn, friggin' right it is.
That was the highest proof tonight at 114.4, I think.
57% ABV.
Lost the earbud.
So yeah, it's 57% ABV, 114.
Mm-hmm.
I missed everything you said about the new riffs. I presume you're going to write these down so we can see them.
Yeah, we'll be posting. So the new riffs are going to be the hardest ones to get. That was a limited release. Only offered to members of the New Riff Bottle Club. Anybody can join the Bottle Club. Sign up. There's some great bottles that come up and you get opportunities on. Backsetter was one of those. We were allowed to buy one of each, so there was no. You couldn't buy multiples. You were limited to one of the peated backset bourbon, one of the peated backset rock. That was it. The upside to that is they are going to release it again, or they do plan on releasing it again. I don't know if it'll expand outside of the Bottle Club or not, but they are going to do it again. And from a Liberty Pole perspective, so the cask strength, the batch one, I'm trying to remember what the age on batch one is.
Hold on.
Batch one, I think, was 14 months.
That sounds about right.
I have it in my notes. I just got to look it up. Yeah, 14 months. So, yeah, it was actually 57.2% is what it says on the bottle. So 114.4 and age for 14 months.
Come on, Scott. I expect more out of you.
Sorry.
But the latest release batch 2, what did batch 2 get up to? 3 years? The batch 2 of the Liberty Pole peated rye, is it 3 years now?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we got right around 3 years on this batch 2 release right now. I'm not sure what the proof is on it. I haven't picked my bottles up yet. I have to go down to Liberty Pole and pick them up. I ordered them. And I've been meaning to get down there and haven't made it yet. But yeah, we're definitely, I'm excited for the extra aging.
Has anyone tried batch 2? Because I'd really be curious to see how that stacks up to batch 1 as far as like peatiness and things like that.
I have not.
So we actually have a comment in the Facebook chat from Spencer Jason. And he's saying that he can't get any of these bottles in New Hampshire. But I do believe that Wiggle will ship them, and I'm pretty sure about Liberty Pole as well.
They probably would. I don't, unless New Hampshire has some rule about not allowing. But yeah, we'd have to look.
It looks like the cask strength straight peated rye whiskey batch 2 is out of stock right now. It looks like it's sold out. It was $64, 109.6 proof.
It was available.
Maybe it was our event here. People heard it and bought it all up.
But it is
the peated bourbon is available though, but not the rye.
Yeah, so the peated bourbon is not cask strength.
No.
Correct.
Also good. But not, it is not a cask strength.
I feel like looking back on all this, I may have been misinterpreting like that rye heat to equal higher ABV than I thought it was. I think I may have been confusing the two a little bit, which shows my naivety with my palate. But this has been really interesting. It's been good to try all this weird stuff not weird, but stuff that I would never have in my normal whiskey.
Adam had the run. Thanks, Adam. Sorry, I just saw your note.
Yeah.
That he had to drop out, but
thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam, for joining us.
So,
go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, what I find interesting about this flake that Aaron has presented for us tonight is that the peat was presented in 3 different methods. So you have with the Wiggle that it was finished in a cask of previously Lefroy Scotch in this case. And then with the 2 backsetters, that it was the previously used make brought into the new make. And then with the Liberty Pole, that it's actually the peated malt made directly into their mash bill. Yeah. So just 3 different ways of getting the same profile into different whiskeys.
Which is interesting because with the backsetters, I mean, B, I got a little bit of campfire, but I didn't get anything that remotely resembled peat with C.
John, you know what's actually funny about that? I just took my last little sip of C just because we're discussing it. And now that I know what it is, right at the front, you get a slight little bit of campfire. Obviously I didn't guess that, but now that I know what to look for, it's there. It's just hidden. It's just well subtle. It's subtle.
Yeah. These are awesome, Aaron. Thank you very much. As always, you are a gentleman and a scholar.
Sorry, Mishy has to leave us as well. So thank you, Mishy, for joining us and participating in the sort of Pete extravaganza, a Pete-like.
Yeah.
I know
Pete and Rye extravaganza.
Pete-a-palooza.
Yeah, well,
I know Rocky.
I guess
Rocky said he didn't want Pete, and so now how do you feel after this, Rocco?
This has changed my mind on Pete. I feel like Aaron might have been doing this intentionally to try to change my mind on Pete.
All right, class. If we've learned anything tonight, do not give Aaron any ideas because he will run with it.
Very much so.
So my thought was that, Rocco, all your experiences with Pete had been with Scotch only.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of bring in the use of Pete in alternate ways, because I think overall, or for most people find bourbons to be a little more easier to get into than Scotch, especially the peated Scotches. And it takes a little time to build that palate up. And I think that's, and I'm not saying for everybody, I'm just saying I think peat in bourbon, peat in rye can be a little more gentle and welcoming, because it blends in with some softer notes, can introduce some of that fruit and spice and pepper, and you get all these little fun things going on. And then that some of the astringent notes that people find in peat kind of blend in or fade away a little bit, and then you're not getting punched, throat punched or with that peat. So that was my goal, was to kind of.
What I learned from you tonight, and then from tasting this, is that I think peat and rye are very complementary, and especially the way that you presented it tonight. I mean, it went from that little smoky into the pepper, and it was just such an easy transition. Like there was I didn't feel punched in the face with peat at any time tonight, and I actually tasted it and enjoyed it. Whereas usually it's like, as soon as I even smell peat, it's like, nope, I'm good. It's like drink me, like I'm good.
I agree. I think peat and rye were meant to be together. I think that is like one of the greatest pairings to have ever happened. I don't know why it took so long for it to have ever happened, but that is peanut butter and chocolate in the whiskey world. Like that, peat and rye were meant to be best buddies. So yeah. I hemmed and hawed on this one, what our samples were going to be. I was hoping to have a fifth sample. I was actually trying really hard to get batch 2 of the Liberty Pole to get down there. I kept ending up in Washington, PA on Sundays, which Liberty Pole is not open on Sunday right now,
right?
With their new hours. So I kept missing them, but I was hoping to have all of it laid out so we could kind of just see those local craft offerings and some of the fun things that they're doing versus what, New Riff, which is not craft, but kind of started as a craft, and expanded quickly over time. But I think they're also doing some fun things and trying to be unique in their approach to the whiskey world with some of the experiments that they're doing and the stuff that they're trying to release the market. So these are all like fun little experimentations, plays,
I'm sure this is something I can probably look up, but I know Scott and Aaron, especially you two, would know that. So New Riff, are they by themselves? Are they affiliated with one of the big distilleries? Like, I understand. Just their back. Do you know their background at all? Are they a new company? I've just started seeing them recently.
Yeah, so they're independently owned, private group. They started out as OKI, and they were sourcing while they built their stock up. So they were selling their MGP source.
That's what I was getting at. Was it MGP or is it them?
MGP originally.
Yeah, this is New Riff is all them. This is their stock.
Right. Yeah, once they switched over the name brands, it was fully them.
Yep. Yeah, they dropped the OKI brand, it became New Riff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all theirs.
Which I think was smart on their end, because not all the time, but sometimes I think when you start out with a sourced one while you're building up your own and then you switch, depending on the difference between the two, that could possibly hurt you. So I like they dropped OKI and became their own entity, and now they have their own their own product.
Smooth Ambler is the perfect example.
Yes,
then, right. They were MGP, then they switched to their own make, and people were like, I don't know that you can continue to call this call this the same thing, because it's completely different.
Mm-hmm. No, I think they went about a good route with that.
So and OKI as a brand, OKI is coming back OKI is going to be another independently owned. So the brand name New Riff sold the brand OKI to another group, and you're going to start seeing OKI back on the market. I believe it's still going to be MGP sourced. I don't think they're doing their own make.
Interesting. So,
but the demand was high. People loved OKI. They loved the whatever barrels or whatever the mash bill that they were getting from MGP. People loved it.
Did you say who they sold the brand to?
It was an independent group.
Okay, so it's still not them. Like they're not still handling.
It's not going to be associated with New Riff in any way.
So OKI coming out next could be vastly different than previous OKI, especially because it's going to be two different tasting panels, basically.
And I don't know if those, when my understanding is how MGP works, like when you select your mash bill or the barrels that you want, you commit to that. Well, sorry, if you're big enough, you commit to this batch or this allotment.
Okay.
If you're smaller, your allotment, you're not guaranteed to get the same allotments every time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're, something that you got once could have been this mash bill and this age, and the next time that may not be available, and you have to take whatever the closest thing is that they have available.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But if you're big enough, you can pre-allocate, pre-allotment and buy in that particular. So I don't know where OKI falls, and I don't know when New Riff stopped buying OKI, what, was that on a hold process, or did it, so I don't even know if that's even available to buy or somebody else bought it up.
Gotcha. All right, folks. So this has been a heck of a lot of fun. Thank you again, Aaron, for this gracious and well thought out lineup for us. I hope that I know Adam had to leave, but Rocco and Ray, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself.
This is amazing. Thank you, man. This was great.
Good. So if you don't already know, you can find those Dram Yinzers on all the different social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at TD Yinzers at all three. If you want to support the show, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can head to our Patreon, patreon.com/those Dram Yinzers, and select a tier if you would like to do that. You can buy some swag at dramit.threadless.com. For those playing the video game, I'm wearing one of our awesome T-shirts that we sell through that site. Again, I've said this before, but it's high quality, and they're very comfy. Another swag you can buy is you can get some hats right through us. I'll post all these links in the show notes, and I'll also make sure I also post the form for the hats. But again, those playing the video game, here is an example of our fitted hat. We also have a snapback, a flat brim snapback that's way more Zach style than me. Those run $30 a piece. And if you want to support the show, but we're all, it's a very weird time right now, especially financially for some people. If you want to support, but you can't financially, and that's okay, head on over to your favorite podcast app or iTunes. Leave us a 5-star rating and write us a nice little review letting us know how we're doing. That just helps other people who haven't heard of our show find our show. And again, if that's all too much to remember, you can always head to pittsburghwhiskeyfriends.org/those-dram-yinzers to check out anything you need to know about the show. And while you're there, make sure you hit the home button and check out everything you need to know about Pittsburgh Whiskey Friends. I guess since Zach's not here, I will just say, Aaron, cheers to you, sir, for a fantastic lineup. Thank you very much again.
And cheers to you.